Welcome back to MMAOddsBreaker. I'm Frank Trigg, of course. This week we're talking to Nick Honstein, getting ready to fight Iliarde Santos. Come up here in Titan on December 19th. You're not in Colorado right now. You're at your mom's farm, you said, out in Nebraska?
Yeah, I came out for Thanksgiving, but I've got to drive back to Colorado this afternoon for sparring tonight.
How long is the drive?
About 4 hours.
Oh, it's not too bad.
Not too bad. Yeah.
Do you get out to see your parents often, or see your mom often?
Yeah. We try to come back about once a month, maybe.
Oh,
So
okay.
it's only a few hours, so yeah, we come back every now and then when I can get off practice. You know, my coach is a hard ass, so it's hard to get more than a day off.
What kind of farm is it?
They do a small cow and calf operation. So he also works at the sugar factory, and then my mom's a school teacher. But they kind of just run the old family farm out here, and
Okay.
it's a real small operation. A few cows, about a couple dozen cows,
How many?
couple dozen.
Couple dozen.
Yeah,
They're because when you say small, it could be we don't know.
yeah,
Like what how small mean? It could be it's only 500. Like that's all we got. It's a total. For guys like me and for people like me that don't. I mean, I lived in the Midwest for a long time, but I didn't hang out with farmers. Like I didn't.
yeah.
I don't know what was going on, so I don't understand the whole farming mindset and really how what sizes actually mean. So
Yeah, some of these farms out here are massive. We're surrounded by one of the biggest farming operations in the Panhandle for sure. So ours is real tiny compared to that. But I mean, it's still a couple dozen cows. It's an operation, man. It'll keep a couple people busy for sure.
it's still a lot of work. It's still up
Yeah,
early and
a lot of
staying
work.
up late.
A lot of-
Lot of machine. Is it profitable? Do you think? Is it breaking even?
yeah, they do well. They had a good harvest this year. I know. They farm and they ranch. So
Okay.
I don't know what I think they grew alfalfa this year.
Okay.
They typically grow a lot of alfalfa, and yeah, they did well this year. So
Okay. So as long as it's profitable, it's not going under. Then it's a
no,
good
not
it's a
going
good
on.
business. As long as
It's doing all right.
Yeah.
It's the family farm isn't going anywhere. It'll be mine someday, hopefully.
good for you. At least you got someplace to go. The rest of us
Yeah,
are scraping for a piece of dirt. At least you already
yeah,
know you got a spot.
hopefully.
So what's it like in Colorado right now? I mean, obviously the winter storms are coming through. It's getting pretty bad, but really Denver doesn't get all that much snow. If it does, it doesn't lay down for very long, so it's not too bad. But what's it
Yeah.
like, training wise? Like how's it affecting you training wise?
Oh, our gym's got a nice heater, so the only thing is I do a little bit more like inside kettlebell workouts and things like that instead of running, just a little bit. It's hard to talk myself into going on like my typical 60-minute runs on a Saturday when it's 10 degrees outside,
Yeah.
So every now and then that's really the only thing that changes. Instead of doing my runs outside, I go inside and I'll blast through a kettlebell workout or some sprints on the treadmill or something. So
Now,
but
what do you
gym's warm, so it's good.
Yeah, that's the thing is that having 'cause I talked to Joe Warren, who's also up in that area, and he said that's the biggest. That's also for him the biggest thing is you just can't go outside as much. You have to spend a lot of your time
Yeah.
inside. He's a wrestler by trade, so for him it's not that hard. We were
Yeah.
always inside. He was raised inside. The whole sport that he grew up doing was inside, so it just made it very simple.
Yeah.
um, have you had we've all fought in these smaller promotions. We start coming up through the ranks. We have these smaller regional spots, local spots. Have you ever been in one of those spots where it's inside and it's winter and you're like there's no heat on, they're just waiting on the body heat to warm
Oh
the
yeah.
room up?
I've got to say, if I had one small complaint about Titan, the last fight was like that. It was in a hockey ring, and that happens a lot. Is
Yeah.
they'll throw plywood over the ice, and then you're warming up in the locker rooms. It takes hours for them to get a little bit warm. So when you first get there, it's freezing. They turn the heaters on usually, but I've fought in quite a few hockey arenas, and it's always cold, man. And it does make a difference. I think you just have to focus more on the warm up, put a couple extra layers on, and really get your body warm. Because I really believe I perform so much better when my muscles are warm.
Yeah.
Obviously, I think there's probably plenty of science behind that, but I know that from experience. When it's cold, I don't move well.
There'll be a ton of science behind something, but
Yeah,
it only affects you when it affects you. You know what
yeah.
I'm saying?
You
Like,
know how things make you feel for sure.
yeah.
So, and
So
that's for sure. Like when I was in Thailand, I could wake up and kick someone in the head, no problem.
right.
When I wake up on a cold Nebraska morning, I
Yeah.
gotta stretch for an hour or so before I'm even trying to kick someone. It's just different. It's a whole different thing.
Well, speaking of Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving was yesterday. How much weight did you put on? And are you worried about it going back to your first sparring practice today?
I wasn't too bad. I kept with the turkey, had a little bit of cranberry, maybe a small piece of pie, but no, I didn't go crazy yesterday. I kept it pretty conservative, so I'm not worried. I'm right on track with my weight. I've been doing plenty of cardio to keep it off. So
How much weight do you usually cut? When it's like the week of the fight?
the week of the fight, I usually get down to 10 pounds is my goal. Then I cut that last 10.
Well, let's talk about your opponent, Santos. How do you see this fight breaking down, and how do you see him as an opponent?
Same as every other opponent before me. It just a victim for my double leg and a punching bag for my elbows, and then the next guy I'm going to submit after that. So that's my coach's job to really dive into the game plan and into what kind of fighter the guy is I'm fighting. But I really try to every fight just I'm not ignorant. I know what's coming. I know his dangerous moves. He's got a double leg. He's got a big left hook. I know all that, but what I'm focused on is my double leg, my ground and pound, my submission. It's going to finish the fight, and it's going to happen first round. Feeling good right now.
So you're most fighters like, well, I don't like making a prediction. I don't like doing, I don't like, picking him in the fight's going to end. But you're saying that you're going to finish him in the first round.
Yeah, that's what happens. That's how I fight. I'm an explosive fighter. I come out hard, and if I don't finish him in the first round, that's a possibility, but that's not what I'm training for. I plan on finishing him in the first round, doing the same thing I always do. I'm pretty predictable, but that doesn't mean you can stop it. I push people's ass into the cage, I take them down, and I grind them out, but try and stop it. That's like everyone knows Joe Warren's going to double leg you. That doesn't mean you're going to stop the double leg. So that's pretty much where my game is too now. It's predictable, but it works.
There's a lot of that going around where people don't really know, like they try to be real secretive about their style, about what they do, and like, this is what I do. There's very few guys like you that go, look, this is what I am, this is what I do. Go ahead, try and stop it. Have you always been that way, or was there a portion of your career where you kind of like trying to be secretive about what you were doing and how you were doing it?
I've always fought that way. I've always won fights the same way. But maybe when I started, I think I took a lot of abuse my first few fights, and then I'd catch the submission, and then I got in better shape. I started training like an athlete more, and my game plan changed to where I was more of the bully, and I'd take them down, be on top the whole time, then submit them. And that's where my game's been recently, but I've just been more and more honest with myself the more fights I have. I've been telling myself for years, maybe I'll come out and strike with them. But everyone knows I'm not going to strike. I've had 30 fights and I've never struck with anybody. I'm going to take them down. So it's pretty much, the more experience I get, the more I'm just honest with myself. This is what I do. This is what works. Any idiot with the Google account can find that out. So it's not a secret, So I don't have anything to hide. It's what I do.
There, Thanksgiving, long drive, and then you get right out of the car and go right to sparring. What's the sparring? What's it going to be like today? Day after Thanksgiving, what's sparring going to be like?
Hopefully it's as intense as usual. Our Friday nights are legendary. We throw down every Friday. Every Friday we treat it like a fight. Okay. So we put sometimes little gloves, sometimes big gloves, but we have a cage and everything else. And our coach he does rounds. I won't reveal too many secrets, but I mean, we duplicate fights, and we got a big whiteboard, and everyone has to. Anyone that has a fight coming up is going to have to go in the cage and do at least a couple rounds with my coach there cornering against whoever on my team he thinks I need to, is going to pose the most problems that night. And he's going to evaluate me, and he's going to tell me what I did right, what I did wrong. We're going to make adjustments, but it's fight night tonight, like it is every Friday. So I'm used to it.
Who have been your main training partners so far for this?
I've got a couple new guys at the gym. Some of my best training partners are just dealing with injuries right now, so I've actually gone up a weight class or two. I've been training with the featherweights and the bantamweights, but training with Joe Warren as usual. Okay. I get a lot of wrestling in with him, and training with Sid Bice, nasty 125-pounder. He recently fought for RFA. He's an up and comer, like 6-1 wrestler. Yeah. Really little guy, and I've got a whole handful of guys on the team, really. Randy Rowland and Marcus Edwards I train with every now and then. He's a tough 155er. And a whole bunch of little guys that are just up-and-comer.
Yeah. Is it tough sometimes to find guys around your size to practice with?
It hasn't been recently. We've got a good little crew of little guys on our team, for sure.
Yeah, it's been a lot of places are like, unless Team Alpha Male, which is basically anybody that's 155 pounds and under. You know, so
Yeah,
they
I
have
think
like
we're there.
when you're
We're
there,
there.
they always got somebody to train with. But a lot of other places, excuse me, when you're like 135 or below, it's almost impossible to find a training partner, just because there's just
Yeah.
no one that good that's at that size that's by you. Like it's a guy that you're probably going to fight pretty soon. So there's
Yeah.
some other camp, you know. So it's always an issue. And
Yeah.
that's one of the biggest problems is trying to find quality.
Say that.
Say again.
Yeah, it's funny you say that. I one of my favorite old sessions that I used to do when I lived in Sydney. There was this. It was like a secret society. I shouldn't talk too much about it. It was a secret little group in Sydney. We called ourselves Midgets. And every Sunday, I got the invite one random weekend on Facebook. And they were like, hey, do you want to come roll with some little guys? It's called Midgets. And I went to this random gym I'd never been to, deep in the heart of Sydney. And it was all 155 and under, like purple belt or higher. Some do gi, some do no gi, and all from Gracie gyms and other gyms that didn't get along and weren't supposed to train together. It was just all little guys that met together Sundays, and they rolled really hard. And then we went out for sushi or something. And it's a secret. Like we were not supposed to tell our coaches who we were rolling with and who, like maybe we'd exchange technique, but it was mostly just open rolling. Wow. And man, it was awesome. I loved it. It was my favorite session of the week.
How long did you live in Sydney?
About 2 years.
And how long did you roll on every Sunday with these guys?
Almost the entire time I was there.
Oh,
I got the invite just a few months after I got there. I won a couple fights right away, and I was the lowest ranked jiu-jitsu guy there. I was the only guy that was a blue belt there, maybe even a white belt at the time. Technically, they were all purple belts, brown belts, black belts. But they saw me fight, and I got the invite, and I would come and wrestle them all. So it was pretty fun. They were all so much higher jiu-jitsu, but I could wrestle. Nobody grew up wrestling.
That was my question. Like, how bad was the wrestling over there? Because we had
It wasn't good. I mean, I did do a tournament. I got to say, I jumped into a wrestling tournament. I hadn't done one since high school. And I lost two freestyle matches, which I don't understand freestyle so well. I'm a folk style. But I lost a couple matches by points, pretty close. And some people talk shit because they were like, oh, I thought Honstein had this great Nebraska wrestling. He didn't even win the tournament. I won the jiu-jitsu tournament same day. But the wrestling tournament I took third at. I found out later they were like... they were not Olympic wrestlers, but they do different games. But they were their best wrestlers in the country. Like two of their best wrestlers I lost to. And I'm not that good at wrestling in America. I'm not an Olympic level wrestler. I'm not anything like that. I'm just a grappler.
Yeah, just some guy who shows up. So it's a different ballgame.
And they barely got me. So yeah, they don't grow up wrestling at the age of 6. Like they do in Nebraska. It's not the same culture. It's just
totally different. And I started late. I started wrestling at 12, and that was really late in comparison to everybody else. And so I had a lot of catching up I had to do.
In some areas, that is late. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. I started when I was like 9, I think, and I was definitely behind. There were kids that started when they were 5 and 6, and they whipped my ass for a few years. Yeah, and it took a while to catch back up.
Just take that beating, but you also learn. There's a lot of wrestling stuff that's been popping out on Facebook, like you mentioned earlier, and some other stuff. Do you still follow wrestling very much, especially working out with Joe Warren? He's always kind of
to be honest, I don't. I've never been a huge. I don't follow other athletes very well. I'm not one of those guys that can ring off sports statistics. Like I know the great wrestlers and that's it, but I really don't follow. Even I get called out a lot because I don't follow a lot of MMA fighting. Some of the best MMA fighters. Some of the most recent fights, like I'm so busy with my own training. There's so many great fighters. I don't have time to follow them all, so I just don't.
Believe me, the guys in the NFL, same way. They're so busy worrying about their own team and the next game they got next week. They're not worrying about, I have no idea what Tom Brady did this week. I have no idea, what happened with the Dallas game yesterday. Like I got my own game. I'm busy playing my own game. I can't watch yours too. Like I got my own thing. So it's common with a lot of athletes, but in MMA is a little bit different. Where most other sports, guys are fans of other sports. Like if you're a football player, you're fans of like soccer or baseball. Like you're watching something else. Yeah. MMA, a lot of the fighters are either like you and I, where like I'm so busy training, I don't know what's going on, or they're uber fans of the sport. Like, oh, did you see this fight? Did you see that fight?
See that?
There's no middle ground. It's guys that know everything or guys that know nothing. It's just how it goes.
Yeah, so. And I think there's kind of two different schools of thought with where martial arts is going, especially MMA, is some people are building off everyone's techniques, cutting edge, They're figuring this out. They're figuring out percentage. This is work. But I'm kind of on the other school of thought where I think some things need to come out of nowhere, like inspiration. And sometimes those are the things that work. You know, when someone comes up with a totally random new move that nobody else is doing, they jump off the cage and kick someone in the head, you know, Pettis kick, or even like some 10th Planet stuff or something. Like Eddie Bravo smokes some weed and comes out with a new style that nobody's doing, and it works. It's a different angle.
Yeah.
So I think you have to do both. You have to do both. But I think a little bit of ignorance is good when you're working on your martial arts game, because it's going to make you unique, and it's going to make you different than all the other guys that they're training with in their gym. If you're different, that's an advantage, I think.
It makes a huge difference. It spreads everything out, makes everything look a little bit different. I mean, it's huge. It's a big deal, because that's where martial arts started. It's over a particular need. The reason why Muay Thai started was, you know, to protect the elephants as the soldiers were on the elephants. It's like, that's how it started. So you had to play that game from underneath. It started for a specific purpose. You know, Kung Fu started because all the farmers were getting attacked. And they had what weapons did they have? Well, they had farm implements, so that's what they used. It's like it develops off of a need, and so there is a bit of a mindset to that should still be in mixed martial arts, where I need to be a little bit ignorant because my need now is this opponent. Like for you, Mark and the rest of your coaches take care of everything. So you're just like, hey, I just got to worry about what they tell me, but now I have to develop a reason why this guy's got a big left hook. How am I going to stop it? Well, I'm doing this particular technique to stop it, and that's what works. And now it's something new that the wrestlers haven't seen before. You know, when you air it on CBS, all of a sudden, holy crap, I've never seen that before. We're gonna do now. It's like all of a sudden Steven Seagal invented the front kick because no one was front kicking anybody in the head. It was like, but no, we all know that kick. You know, it's been around forever, but now all of a sudden it works, and everybody goes to try it now. It's just how it goes.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah.
Well, John, Nick, thanks for coming on here. It's gonna be a lot of fun. This fight coming up. It seems like Titan is putting on something really solid every time they put a fight together. Do you feel like the promotion is taking care of you as a fighter, and they feel like the promotion's really trying to up the sport, like trying to lift the sport up to another level on CBS?
Yeah, I think they are. They're throwing quality shows, and you can tell it's making a difference. The last one I filled in on, actually, it was kind of hard for me to stay focused, even though we were just saying I'm not a big, you know, I'm usually more focused on my own thing, but they had some high-level fighters there and some different, like some really unique matchups that I couldn't resist, man. I was kind of even getting out of my own zone watching a couple of these fights on the television in the back, because they had put together some matchups, man. It was some really good fights the last one I was on. And yeah, ever since, I'll be honest, I don't watch a lot of MMA on TV unless I'm kind of there, not doing anything that night. But ever since that card, I've been like, man, Titan throws good shows. And the last one they put on in Florida was the same way. I watched it because the one I fought on was so good. And it was just great matchups. Definitely a good, good attention to quality on those matchups. So it's good.
Well, as Nick Honstein getting ready to fight Iliarde Santos, coming up here on Titan Fighting Championships, December 19th, of course, can be seen on CBS Sports. Check it out. Nick, thanks so much for coming on to MMAOddsBreaker.
Yeah,
appreciate it.
Me.
Yeah,
for sure.
Thanks, man. We'll talk to you soon, bud.
All right. We'll see you guys soon.